This week on the Halo News Recap. The classic Red X finally returns, and it's cause to celebrate. I give you all the info from this week's bulletin on the red reticle range of the DMR and the light rifle. Green Skull's heading to Seattle for a special Halo 4 event, and I'm really happy for him. Hello, internets. It's me, Minolta 1034, and I'm finally back. It's been almost a month since I've made a Halo News recap video, but I'm excited to get back into it, even if this week is a little bit light on the news. So without further ado, let's get into it. Our top story tonight, welcome back the true Red X. When Halo 4 came out, a notable omission from multiplayer was the little X that appeared over your body on your teammates' HUDs when you died. It was something that was pretty useful. In fact, the on my X, or, one shot on my X, or absolute on my X, or anything, blank on my X was, sort of an idiom, a popular phrase, something that's used across the entire Halo community, whether you're casual, competitive, griftball, or otherwise. Unfortunately, Halo 4 didn't have this feature, but a title update from a couple of months ago did add it back, however, with some notable changes. The X tracked the person's dead body as opposed to the location where they died, and also it disappeared rather fast. Plus, it wasn't actually red, it was sort of this whitish color, bluish-whitish, that matched the rest of your HUD. Well, I'm happy to announce that today a title update's been released, and the major change, the only change, is that the Red X from Halo 3 is back. It remains exactly where you are until you respawn, and it's big, bright, and red. So let's all just take a moment. Welcome back, Red X. We missed you. You're a sweet, sweet lady. And I'm happy to have you back in my life. I really am. This week's Waypoint Bulletin was a little bit light on the actual gameplay news, but it did have some interesting information on weapon tuning, specifically about the light rifle and the DMR and their red reticle range. Now, some people might be asking, what the heck is red reticle range? What does that mean? Well, if you've played Halo, which I'm thinking that if you're watching this, you probably have, when your reticle is over an enemy player, it turns red if you're within a certain amount of range to him. But if that player is way off in the distance, or maybe you're playing with a close range weapon like the shotgun, that reticle won't turn red if the enemy is too far away. Red reticle range is basically the distance between you and the enemy team player that a certain gun's reticle will turn red for you. Now, what does this all mean? The red reticle range of the DMR has been reduced, and the light rifle's red reticle range has been increased, so the two are actually exactly identical now. So your reticle will turn red with the same range for either the DMR or the light rifle. What that means is that now the light rifle, with its increased red reticle range, will typically beat the DMR in long-range battles, because the light rifle takes less shots to kill than the DMR does. So that's put the light rifle as kind of the supreme long-range weapon, whereas at close range, so that's put the DMR in a very specific role, and this is something that a lot of competitive people and just, Halo fans in general have been asking for, is more specific roles within the weapon sandbox for each weapon. So now, let me lay it out for you. You've got your light rifle. That's your best long-range rifle. You got your DMR, which is going to kill at mid-range, all right? And then you got your BR and your carbine, which are going to be the best at close-range encounters. So all of those are going to obviously sort of bleed into each other, right? Like the light rifle and the DMR are going to, at certain ranges are going to be equal, and it's going to come down to a certain amount of player preference. Same with the BR and the carbine. It's not to say that the BR won't work at mid and longer ranges, or that the light rifle doesn't work close up, but these are kind of how the weapons have been tuned now, and so you're going to get better results at these ranges with these weapons, which should also balance out the whole sandbox, meaning that the DMR isn't going to be the one weapon to rule them all anymore. You're going to be able to make a choice. Are you a long-range player? You might want to stick with the light rifle. You a close-range player? Switch over to the BR. It should also be noted that the battle rifle is being switched from a 5-shot to a 4-shot kill, which is also an effort to reduce the DMR's total, ownage at every aspect of Halo. So hopefully we're going to see a lot more balance to the sandbox, and what I'm really excited to see is how this is going to play into players' loadouts. Now, I realize that competitive settings don't allow loadouts, and I get that, but let's think about the fact that now that we know the light rifle is killing it at long range, we know the DMR is good for mid, along with the BR to a certain extent, and the carbine. Now we've got, all of these different weapons, and so now, for instance, if you're going to be loading up onto a map, like, let's say, my personal favorite, the Lethbridge Industrial sponsored Skyline, you're probably going to want to go with a BR or a carbine, because those are just going to be the best at close range. And on a map like Skyline, 80-90% of your combat is probably going to be in the close to mid ranges. So a BR is probably going to be your best bet. Or a carbine if you're like a guy who likes to click your trigger finger a lot. Speaking of the carbine, they are thinking about reducing the projectile spread on the weapon. What that is just basically the faster you fire, the more inaccurate you become. And so they're thinking about reducing that a little bit in order for it to be able to keep up with the big boys like the BR and the DMR. Now, on the other side of that, if you're playing some crazy big team battle on, let's say Ragnarok, you might want to have a loadout for that has like a DMR or a light rifle in it so that you'll be able to combat players at larger distances. I think it's really interesting that the balance of the sandbox might actually play into the idea of weapon loadouts and make it so that they aren't perceived as so random or unstrategic. They've also added a damage bump to the Magnum. It's still a 6-shot kill, but what was said in the update was that when you're team shooting, as in like you and your teammates are all shooting at one guy, he is going to go down quicker because of that little bit of a bump. That means that, when a bunch of guys are hitting them all at once, you'll be able to take him down really, really fast. It's a small tweak, but it's one that I think is going to be really interesting to see how it plays out across the sandbox. Maybe it'll make it so that the Magnum is a little bit more appealing as a secondary weapon as opposed to, maybe using a firepower mod so you can have an assault rifle or something else like that as your secondary. Our final story tonight comes from within the Ready Up Live world, and it is that our very own Green Skull is going to be headed to Seattle for a very special 343 event about what else? Weapon tuning. That's right. That's all that they're about these days, is really tuning up the sandbox so all the weapons play really great. And Green Skull gets a chance to go and check it all out. Do I wish I'd been invited? Yeah, probably. Do I think I should have been invited? No, probably not. I'm really excited for Dan to go to check it out for Ready Up Live and, represent the community at 343 and put his input in about weapon tunings and crazy game types and everything else. I think it's going to be a lot of fun for him. I probably wish I would have gone, but, it's not like I'm asking you guys to... I don't know, start some sort of like fan campaign on Twitter where you like harass 343 until they send me an invite. That would just be crazy, and it would really be just not very nice to them. So don't do that. Don't just tweet 343 all the time asking to send me to Seattle with the hashtag Team Minolta. Don't do that. Don't do that. Anyway, that's about it for this week's recap. Oh, you know what? I usually do the other side first. I guess I screwed that one up. Sorry, guys. I'll turn it around. I just want to make sure that everyone, you see this side of the mug. It's very important. But I don't even... Oh, does it say... Oh, how did that get there? Thanks a lot, guys. All right. It's great to be back from vacation, guys. I had a lot of fun in Vancouver and Calgary and doing all sorts of crazy stuff. But I'm really happy to be back, making videos, talking to you guys, and having fun. So I guess all that's left to say is... Oh, that was vodka. I'll see you next time.
To our long-lost worlds, only to find out we are not alone. Warlocks have long studied the Traveler, mastering some of its arcane energies. Its true purpose still remains a great mystery, but discovering truth has always driven you into the unknown. Now, our enemies are the only thing that stands between you and the lost wonders of our golden age. The first Titans built the wall, and